y'all, I'm April McKinney, and today I'm going to be making a lightened up fresh corn pudding. If you grew up in the South and you probably have had corn pudding before, this is a dish that we have at pretty much every big family gathering. My Aunt Cindy usually makes it, but I'm going to show you a version today that's made with fresh corn. I know a lot of times the traditional dish is made with canned corn, and I'm also going to lighten it up just a little bit. You're never going to know the difference. It's not going to be, fat-free, but it is just going to be a touch lighter than the traditional version, and it's going to taste really, really fresh and delicious with this good corn. This is a great thing for Easter coming up. If you're having a big Easter lunch, this would be a great dish to bring. So what I'm started off by doing is just cutting some corn off of the cobs. I've already shucked these, and now I'm just cutting off the cobs. My little trick to this, get a big bowl and then get a small bowl like this one, stick it in there, put kind of the flatter end of the corn right on that little bowl, and then cut your corn off of the cob right into the bowl. And this way, it's easier and you don't get little corn kernels all over your cutting board or all over the floor. So I'm just going to cut this around each side, and that'll give me 2½ cups of fresh corn. If corn is not in season and you want to make this maybe in the fall or winter time, you could use frozen corn for this. Just thaw out some frozen corn and that would work as well. Okay, so I've added that last corn cob to the rest of my corn, and so this is going to give me about 2½ cups. Over here in the skillet, I have 3 tablespoons of butter just melting in a skillet. 3 tablespoons, it's really not very much for a corn pudding. This is going to feed probably 6 to 8 people, so 3 tablespoons of butter. It's worth having that buttery flavor in here, but we're not going to go crazy. We're not putting a stick of butter or even a half a stick. So I'm going to get my corn in here, and I'm just going to let this cook for a few minutes in that butter. Okay, while my corn is cooking, I'm going to chop up some green onions here. I have 2 green onions. You can see my knife's still got all that corn juice on it. But like I said, 2 green onions. I'm just going to chop these. This is just going to add a nice mild onion flavor and also a little pop of green color, which I really like in our corn pudding, excuse me. Now that it's chopped up, I'm going to go ahead and just add this to our corn. I did the green and the white parts of the green onion. So I'm going to let it cook for a few minutes in the butter as well. Okay, so my corn is cooked. I let it cook for about 5 minutes in that butter along with the green onions. And what that does is just soften it up a little bit. It's going to continue to cook in the oven, but I want to soften up that fresh corn a little bit before we just stick it in a casserole. So now I'm going to make the filling, the binder part of the corn pudding. And I've got 2 eggs here. I'm going to go ahead and crack and get into a bowl. There we go. 1 egg. Toss it over there. There's the other egg. Now with that, I'm going to go ahead and beat this up. Just give it a little beat. Okay, and then 1 can of, I'm using 2% evaporated milk, okay? And I'm using this instead of half and half or heavy cream, which you're going to see in a lot of corn pudding recipes. So just 1 can of this evaporated milk, the low fat. I don't really like to use the skim because I want it to still have a little bit of richness, but like I said, we're just making a few changes to lighten this up a little bit so we can still have our favorite traditional Southern style dishes without all the fat that is sometimes in them. Now, we're going to get in ½ cup of some light sour cream. Going to go right in here. Usually I'm not really a big casserole person. I don't really make them a whole lot, but I absolutely love corn pudding. It's just something I always look forward to at family events. And you see it a lot of times at Thanksgiving and Christmas, but it's really delicious in the spring and summertime because that's when, we have the really fresh corn. Now to this, I'm going to add a ¼ cup of yellow cornmeal. I'm just going to whisk this in. And a tablespoon of sugar. Again, some of these recipes you'll see a ½ cup of sugar in this, but we really don't need that much. That fresh corn is already going to be really sweet. So a tablespoon of sugar is just going to enhance that sweetness. And it'll be just enough. All right, and 1 teaspoon of salt and ½ teaspoon of black pepper. This is our filling. This is all we're putting in the filling. It's going to be really flavorful. It's going to taste nice and rich, even though we did lighten it up in some ways. So one of the things I did after this was done, the corn mixture was done cooking, was I went ahead and took it off the heat so that it would cool down a little bit. We don't want it to be steaming hot. You can still see it's a little bit warm still, but it has cooled down some, so we don't want to scramble our eggs. You want to make sure you get all that good butter and corn in there. Don't want to miss any of the good flavor. All right, so now that my corn's in here, this is our corn pudding. It just has to bake. I know it looks runny now, but it won't be when we get to baking it. So I have one dish that I've already sprayed here. It's about a 9 by 9 dish, baking dish. And I'm just gonna pour this right in. Be careful not to splatter it all over me. What I'm gonna do, I've got my oven preheated to 350. So what I'm gonna do is put this in for 30 minutes. I'm gonna take it out. I'm gonna top it with some sharp cheddar cheese, and then we're gonna bake it for another 10 to 15 minutes until it's set. Okay, our corn pudding has been in the oven for 30 minutes. I'm gonna top it with cheese. You can see it's already starting to set, and this is just gonna make it nice and melty over the top. And we'll put it in the oven, still at 350 for another 10 minutes or so, and it will be all finished. Okay, so my corn pudding has come out of the oven. It smells so good. That cheese has melted all over the top, and I just can't wait to dig into this. This is gonna be so delicious for, like I said, an Easter brunch or Easter lunch with fresh corn, and it's lightened up a little bit, and so that's really nice to know that you're not eating something that's really, really heavy. Even if you just wanted to make this on a weeknight, it really doesn't take that long to make. One thing that I like to do is just garnish it with a little fresh green onion just to make it look pretty. Adding a little green on top of any kind of casserole just makes it look pretty. It makes it look nice, and we do eat with our eyes, so parsley or green onion will be perfect for that. I am going to have to get a spoonful of this. It just looks too good. You can see the consistency there, that fresh corn. Can't wait. So I hope you guys will give this one a try. Let me know what you think of this recipe down below the video. Also, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also, go check out my website, aprilmckinney.com, where you'll find all of my recipes and more. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time.